Oh joy, the 3.0.3 patch for Stellaris is released. And there's some new fixes in it. We're going to read through all of it together. There's quite a number of things, especially, you can see it here, the bug fixes. They've summed it up to 36 pages of changes, but together with all the patches from 3.02, 3.01 and 3.00, and we have already covered that, so it's only that little bit, and I'm going to make some chapters so you can switch around between the things that are most interesting for you. Version 3.03 balance changes. Increase the minimum growth of planets near the top of the logistic growth curve to 10% from 1%. That's a big change. Significantly reduce the effect of empire pops on the required growth of new pops from 0.25 from 0.5. So they went down. Reduce the number of pops required to upgrade capital buildings to 10, 25, 50 from 10, 40, 80. I've been playing with the 3.03 patch, and that's really very practical. It was necessary. Hive worlds now also have +1 spawning drone job. Machine worlds now also have +1 replicator job. Resource consolidation home worlds begin with a blocker negating this extra job until removed. The constructor bot civic now also grants 1 more building slot. Very good, like the functional architecture. Slave processing plants now also enable automatic resettlement for slaves on their planet, but reduce the rate at which the planet is, which can be offset by transit hubs or other modifiers. Karama Steel infrastructure and Durasteel infrastructure technologies now also grant +25% colony development speed. Increase the duration of the Prosperous Unification planet modifier to 20 years, up from 10 years. Espionage-related edicts that lowered operation difficulty now instead increase code breaking, which will still reduce difficulty, but will also have other benefits. Replace +10 maximum infiltration on ruthless competition and Shadow Council with +1 code breaking. Yeah, these changes are good, I feel. Even with a non-spy-focused empire, I've had problems to do just about anything in spying, so I would have had to focus on it, and that makes it easier, so you can at least dabble in spying out a bit. A bit should be possible. The Criminal Syndicate Civic now also grants +1 code breaking. Reduced the alloy discount of GDF ships to 25%, but added an extra 10% discount to the resolution that expands the GDF. The Galactic Defense Force, you can now no longer permanently lose your heterophasic engine. However, losing control of it will wipe out all progress you had made in upgrading it. That's already pretty terrible. Slowed down purging by about 50%, as we have significantly fewer pops in the game now. The exception is new to Ring, which has increased in speed from 500 months per pop to 10 months per pop. You now get 4 months worth of their purge output every time a pop is purged via forced labor, processing or chemical processing. Slowed down first contact investigation times by about 50%. Ion cannons, perdition beams and titan lasers are now considered energy weapons and benefit, thankfully, from repeatable technologies. Yeah, so titans don't go obsolete anymore. Reduced criminal job effect on trade to -5 from -10. Rogue Servitor bio-trophy buildings now also increase planet capacity to compensate for the trophies within. Bio-trophies now provide 1 unity instead of 2, and 1% complex drone output instead of 0.25%, but only provide any benefits when at or above 50% happiness. Wow, that's interesting. Increase the effect of the Rogue Servitor expanded breeding program to 20% from 10%. I think Rogue Servitors are interesting again now. Terminal egress is now a black hole which cannot be cracked. Resolution extra-dimensional exploration is now again a dangerous resolution which lets you get the unbidden a bit early. Medical workers now also increase organic pop assembly by 5% and increase habitability by 2.5%, which is good. Significantly reduce the upfront energy cost of espionage operations. Yeah, that was necessary. Increased the power of starbase reactors. Fully upgraded bastions should be better at actually using all their weapon slots. Nice. Yeah, I've seen that starbases react better. Espionage edicts unlocked by quantum hacking now also grant +10 maximum infiltration level. POPs will not automatically resettle away from newly founded colonies until 5 years have passed, so your habitats will no longer have one worker flee before you can give them something to do. The Gather Information operation now also grants +5 maximum infiltration level for 10 years, stacking with itself up to +20. Continuing to perform the operation will restart the 10-year timer if it's at +20 maximum infiltration level. Espionage operations no longer gain 1 insight, no matter how bad the roll. Contrary to what is stated on the UI, they now need a score of at least 2 to gain an insight. If the die rolls 10 and the score is below 2, an insight will still be gained to prevent operations from freezing entirely. Made menace rewards scale with the number of empires in-game. Reverted the behavior that shipyards in occupied stations could be used to upgrade and build ships. Reduced the number of clerk jobs provided by buildings and districts by 40%, but clerk trade value has been increased to 4, which is a very good step now. It is no longer useless, or near useless. Crime Lord deal now also adds criminal jobs. Manufacturing focus buildings, factories and foundries are no longer exclusive from one another and no longer add jobs to industrial districts. They instead increase the base production of alloy or consumer goods, producing jobs by 1 or 2, with a corresponding increase in upkeep. Buildings that increase basic resource production and added jobs to basic resource producing buildings or districts, energy grids, mineral purification hub plants, and the agriculture ones now increase the base production of the relevant jobs by 1 or 2 based on their tier, instead of the previous modifiers. Machine empires still gain the extra resource district slots as before. Yes, things like livestock count as a relevant job. Reduced base automatic resettlement chance to 5% per month, 46% chance per planet to resettle per year. So there's still a high chance to resettle. Reduced logistic growth ceiling from 2.0 to 1.5. Sliders have been added in Galaxy Generation for the planetary logistic growth cap and empire-wide growth required scaling values. Please note that adjusting these can have significant effects on game balance and performance. So if you have more pops easily, that will shift the balance towards other forms of empires, and growth will be worth even more. Well, I don't even know if that's true. Is growth worth more when you cannot grow that much, or when you can only grow quickly and then stop, or when you can grow all the time? It's hard to tell. We'll find out. We would have to test. Performance and stability. Optimized spawning the L gate to not freeze the game. Great. Fixed crash to desktop in OpenGL that might happen when kicked from a multiplayer while Empire selection screen is open. Thankfully, further optimized yearly tick from assimilation. That's so good. Slightly reduce the performance burden of the auto migration system. Nice. Fixed crash on sector colony development update. Good stuff. User interface. The Necrophage Chamber of Elevation description now explains why the jobs provided by that building may vary. Good. Added a tooltip in Diplomacy view for civics when you do not have sufficient intel to see them. Fixed some instances of text and UI overlap in the Become the Crisis view for some languages. Appended a sign and unassigned tooltip to espionage asset in Create Espionage Operation view. Added right-click to unassign espionage asset in Espionage Operation view. The best species for a habitable planet is now shown in the Galaxy View tooltip, and not only in the System View tooltip. Added tooltips and hidden or disabled some UI elements to show that an occupied shipyard can be used. Artificial intelligence upgrades. Fixed Lithuid Tree of Life AI not ever colonizing or using the decision to transplant the Tree of Life to conquered planets. Fixed AI reserving food for planetary decisions, even though no decisions require food. Yeah, AI now cares more about energy and alloys. Added a building limit define. AI now waits 10 years to fully take over players. Improved AI human takeover behavior. Code B was human recently added to waiting stuff in calc building wait. Handle planets now checks for AI free jobs building build cap in order to build miscellaneous buildings. Remove the upkeep check for approximation because of locking itself out of building certain stuff in deficit. AI stops building armies after takeover. AI stops building starbases and starbase modules after takeover. AI stops buying and selling pops after takeover. Added some comments to pop.age and pop.cpp. Script reduced amount of jobs allowed to build new stuff. Increased scores for deficit, focus and amenity building weights. Reduced wait for pop buildings. Increased AI takeover timer to 10 years. Updated economic plans to not change as much through the game time. Economic plans now favor less research and more stability and economic balance. Added a job wait for low income for artisan jobs. Increased job wait for technicians for low income situations. Reduced low income threshold for minor jobs. Economic plan fix for Hive and Gestalt. Fixed case where AI logic was countering itself. This also solves the single largest AI performance drain. Oh, nice. What a nice fix. Modding. Trigger has population control and has migration control are now no longer simple booleans, but follow the format of has colonization control instead. Added Intel effects surveyed attribute to country type for handling Intel system toggle surveyed or unsurveyed planet status. Was previously handled by the primitives attribute. Has Intel trigger now works. Added dissolve alliance effect. Fixed on first contact stage 1 no path using the wrong scope. Fixed a crash if you used an invalid starbase design in create starbase. Added error logging instead. Join war and join war on side effects no longer allows you to join a war if you're already at war against one of the war participants and will log an error if it's attempted. From in the active trigger of resolutions now refers to the target if valid. Added Galactic Emperor and Galactic Custodian scope changes. Added an effect field to declare war effect. Menace rewards can now have modifiers to scale the reward. Added should remove response message when not possible property for diplomatic actions to remove response messages of the diplo action type if the possible check fails. Logistic pop growth ceiling required pop growth scale and required pop growth assembly scale defines have been removed as they have been replaced by sliders in the galaxy generation. Yeah, that was the big thing. So you can now define how your galaxy should behave in terms of growth of pops at the start of every game. And possibly with a hex editor later on in a save game, even though that's icky. I wouldn't recommend doing that. Oh, and then the best. The last is the best. Bugfixes! Organic pop assembly now respects population protocols. Oh no! Fixed cases where destroying an empire through war would not grant you the menace from destroy empires. Fixed various error log messages relating to crisis objectives, along with several edge cases where the rewards were not granted when they should have been. Fixed an issue where galactic community resolution categories would not be hidden if they contain targeted resolutions that there are no valid targets for. Fixed an issue where the acceptance breakdown for diplomatic actions was available even if you didn't have sufficient intel. Fixed an issue where an already proposed galactic community resolution could be passed even if not all of its conditions were fulfilled. Fixed scripted trigger scope validation. Fixed scripted effect scope validation. Fixed an issue where it was not possible to invite others to a federation if you were a custodian while a crisis was ongoing. System previously made visible no longer become unknown when your intel on a country is too low. Yay! Fixed tooltip of active operation in spy network view to show the operations modifiers and not only the spy networks. Fixed an issue where the capital location of special empires such as the Caravaneers would not be revealed after establishing communication. Oh yeah, that's good. Fixed long tooltip for war goal to close branch offices if they have multiple branch offices in your borders. Increased chance for auto research to pick certain strategic techs. Interesting. Fixed it being possible for the Caravaneers to request one of your systems when they lost theirs, even if you have never met the Caravaneers. Fixed an issue where tooltips mentioning joining a war would sometimes be missing empire names and be oddly formatted. Fixed it being impossible to repeal the Pax Galactica. Fixed an issue where the name of your ally wouldn't be displayed in a notification when joining a war as the Galactic Imperium ruler. Made Kettling country intel not affecting their planet's surveyed status for other empires. Fixed so aggressive stance does not trigger the wrong animation state to be set on ships. Fixed edge cases where the event to prompt you to consider first contact protocols happened quite late. Fixed cases where event rewards granting progress in a technology would not save that as a permanent research option. Fixed an issue in the diplomacy view where the closed borders icon would also appear when you were the one that had closed borders to the other empire. Fixed some scripted localization functions in German. Fixed some minor interleaks when finding out you cannot make a pact with an inwards perfectionist country, and similar. Fixed base value for upkeep production costs sometimes missing in tooltip. Fixed excessive and unhelpful messages upon completion of a galactic rebellion, whether it fails or succeeds. Fixed an issue where the fleet manager showed that Federation and Galactic Defense Force fleets had command limits. Fixed an instance of a broken event title when an aetherophasic engine has been destroyed. Unemployed lithoids will no longer move back to a doomed homeworld through auto-migration, even if there are plenty of good jobs and housing available. Can planet receive auto-migration added to game rules? Purging a pop now gives menace, even if the pop runs away to another empire. Updated Cradle of Life event text to account for intel levels. Fixed an issue where Galactic Defense Force ship sizes would just be shown as GDF name when adding a design to a fleet in the Fleet Manager. Corrected an event option which follows a successful completion of Operation Sabotage Starbase. If an opportunity to also destroy a defense platform arises, this action will no longer consume or attempt to consume a military asset on the relevant spy network. Also corrected a minor grammatical error. Aggressive stance set on a transport fleet is now reapplied to it after an invasion is completed. Fixed it being impossible to abduct pops to necrophage purge them once their species is already set to undesirables who are to be necrophaged. Winning a crisis vassalization war no longer gives an additional notification that the war ended because the opponent was vassalized. Fixed strange occurrences when a starbase is reconstructed on the monthly tick when fighting a wipe them out war and the system has multiple colonies of which the assailant only controls some. Changing species rights of a cyborg psionic species now works properly instead of using the species rights requirements of the base species. Added scrollbar to victory view summary to avoid text overflow. Fixed first colony event firing with inappropriate text when settling tomb and relic worlds. Modifiers from crisis perks now show up with names. Further fixes to Finders Keepers event. Planet colonizations that can never be finished will now be properly aborted on a monthly basis. Fixed a broken first contact notification in Brazilian Portuguese. Fixed an integer overview flow in border distances where if two countries had no possible connections, they would have 1,000 reasons to be your vassal, mainly happening in modded games. Modifiers from relics should now show up properly. Fixed a bug where if you captured the aetherophasic engine in a total war, it would not be destroyed and would carry on any in-progress upgrade. Fixed ownerless megastructures not cancelling upgrades. The area of the envoy portrait in the envoy selection view should be correctly clickable. Determined exterminators, fanatic purifiers and devouring swarms now remain true to their purity ideology and may no longer adopt lost space amoeba. Fix the event for establishing communications with caravaneers inappropriately referring to them by their precom's codename. Fixed excessive rounding on species rights indicator for speed of purging. Fixed an error which would prevent Operation Armed Privateers from successfully spawning a privateer fleet inside a valid target empire. Fixed a typo in the purging code that meant you could have negative progress in purging the month after a pop is purged. Fixed contingency worlds wiped out by Star Eaters not counting as destroyed. Fixed a large number of events, particularly in espionage, where failing to account for gender-neutral plantoids and fungoids would cause mistakes in English grammar. Literally unplayable. In other words, occurrences of they is are now correctly rendered they are. Grammar fixes for descriptions of the Master's teachings edicts. Fixed oddities when a machine uprising is given a planet that is under colonization. Fixed hive worlds not getting their full benefit from food processing centers. Fixed some typos in German. Acceptance breakdown is now hidden when proposing diplomatic actions if interlevel is not high enough. Fixed it being possible to pass most of the custodian and imperial resolutions multiple times when they are already active. Fixed for crash and destruction of the last planet of the galactic custodian. Fix the unbidden crisis dimensional portals and anchors being destroyed by Star Eaters. Fix the bug with being unable to survey an anomaly in foreign territory. The Imperial Crusade resolution can no longer be proposed against fallen empires or awakened empires. If two countries reach crisis level 5, the galactic community will now correctly declare war on both. The very first pop colonizing a planet will no longer feel strangely compelled to abandon their duties to go work in that odd factory. Fixed the final event in the Cybrex precursor chain firing at the wrong time. Fixed typo in Nemesis main theme name in the music player. Fixed bug when fleet icon appears far away from ships. Removed some event script that was deprecated 4 years ago. Nice. Robots can no longer be acquired as assets unless the targeted empire has unlocked droids. Megastructure icon is now shown on the galaxy map for L-gate systems. Fixed bug when fleet icon appears far away from ships. Fixed scopes in Caravaneer's local franchise event so that the event text correctly refers to the country rather than the species. Fixed an issue where brain slugs would not impact colony stability as intended. If the initiator fails to win an Imperial Crusade, the resolution is no longer left active into perpetuity. Fixed cases where the galactic community would fail to declare war on the Empire, becoming the crisis because the potential war leader was already at war with them. The crisis is now removed from all wars with galactic community members and a new war is created. Fixed various oddities where passing the resolution to declare a crisis by vote would lead to Federation members of the newly declared crisis fighting against them despite remaining Federation members. They will now support the crisis in this case. Note, countries reaching crisis level 5 will continue to not keep their Federation allies. Fixed an issue where if the galactic community declared war on one country as the crisis and then passed the resolution to declare a subsequent country the crisis, various issues would ensure, for example, the war ending immediately or the galactic community's leader having to face the crisis alone without the members to back it up. Fixed a tooltip for why you can't replace a building saying there were too few pops. Fixed the confirmation message for commercial pacts and research agreements, showing the information on their benefits reversed. Fixed an issue where extra-dimensional exploration would not let Gestalts learn about Zrow. The superconductive robot trait no longer requires droid technology since robots can now work technician jobs. Fix certain first contact stages getting stuck and never progressing. That's helpful. Neutronium armor will now properly upgrade to dragon scale armor. Fixed it being possible to target genocidal empires with the Imperial Crusade. Better just declare crisis on them. Sapient robots like synthetics, including those created Synthetic Ascension, can now utilize the auto-migration system. AI servitude policies will restrict their migration as if they were slaves, in which case they will relocate if a slave processing plant exists on the planet. Fixed mistaken for food espionage random event permanently stopping the operation's progress. Envoy substance abuse events can now no longer happen for gestalts either as the source of the envoy or the source of the substances. Fix the confirmation message for commercial pacts and research agreements, showing the information on their benefits reversed. Simplified statement made. Fixed menacing ships not displaying weapon models properly. Spawned Star Eaters now use correctly dimensioned thruster components. A Galactic Custodian or Galactic Emperor will now always be able to propose Council resolutions, even if the Council has been abolished. Replaced references to spy power in trigger localization instead of referring to a spy network's infiltration level. Fixed mercantile diplomatic stance being visible to Gestalt consciousness empires, taunting them with a tantalizing yet impossible promise of internal trade. Wrong advisor voice is removed from available ones for the case when a planet is successfully invaded. What? Vassals created by the Galactic Sovereign no longer get the Galactic Sovereign Civic. Espionage Operation Asset category icons now show tooltips with category names. The Pax Galactica is now correctly binding on the Emperor. Notifications for refused peace offers are now properly removed when a war has ended. Some country modifiers that were removed much too slowly should now be removed faster. Updated numbers in Espionage Operation Role tooltip to show correct information. Fix the too long string cutting off invader power values in ground combat view in French. Fix an issue where destroying the contingency's final world with a Star Eater would not properly end the contingency crisis. Further fixes to the end of the Cyberx precursor chain. Oh my goodness. The tooltip when you can't reinforce a fleet shouldn't duplicate the course. Fleets can be reinforced even if one ship type in the fleet can't be built. Fix the crash upon mousing over a system with planets in as an observer. Fixed a couple of edicts having wrong deactivation cost. Thought enforcement tech is now researchable with Utopia. Fixed an issue where nomads would keep asking for a planet over and over before establishing communications. You can no longer invite someone you're at war with against to join your side in a new war. Yeah, that would be crazy. Corrected opinion text placement in the declare war view. The Manifesti faction should no longer reform after it has disbanded, either through suppression or lack of popularity. My goodness. Fix the Research Institute building not properly converting to planetary supercomputer when conquered by Gestalt empires and vice versa. Oh yeah. But I love the double modifiers. Fixed auto-resettlement for void dweller habitats and certain other planets. Needs a save though. Fixed an issue where branch office value tooltips could be displayed based on the wrong branch office owner. Branch office value generated from criminal jobs for criminal syndicates is now properly shown in the tooltip for the branch office value. Fix for planetary designation icons being offset. That was it all. I think it's great that they moved forward with this. And I think there are more changes coming, just a hunch. The PDXCon is starting soon. I think it starts this evening. And the whole weekend. So the digital one. I'm really looking forward to it. And of course also to this patch. I love frequent patches, especially with a lot of bug fixes. That makes our life as a player so much better. Thank you for watching and happy gaming to you. What did you like best about the 3.0.3 patch? Have a great time. Until next time, and happy gaming. I like the sliders. And you?